The Redmi K20 Pro is not going to get Android 12. And before you talk about custom ROMs, I promise you I'm going to get to that. But there's a couple other things that we should talk about first. Hanoi is currently in another lockdown. Businesses are shut down. You're not supposed to exercise outside. Now I'll have a link to where I read about this, but essentially, although it might get MIUI 13, the Redmi K20 Pro, Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro are not going to be getting officially updated to Android 12. And I think that this is really a bad look for Xiaomi for a couple of reasons. Now, reason number one is that there's a lot of people that had their very first exposure, their very first experience with Xiaomi from the K20 Pro and the Mi 9T Pro, because for a lot of people, it was the newest OnePlus flagship metal glass device with flagship SoC and some compromises that people were okay with. And the fact that it's only going to get support for now almost less than 2 years is like a big letdown. Now, the second reason that this is a terrible look for them is simply because this was a device that was marketed towards more than just enthusiasts. This is a device that a lot of kind of average people that aren't tech nerds bought. And because of that, because this device was launched internationally, it's not like people had to import it to get their hands on it. This was sold at retail locations around the world. And for a non-enthusiast to now have a device that is still going to be a totally adequate performing device, to have end of life, or kind of for it to be the end of support officially, is just not a great way for a brand to build lifelong customers. Now, the third and final reason that this is just a terrible look for Xiaomi actually has to do with enthusiasts. Let me explain. Now, if this was a hardware support issue, well, then that's exactly what it would be, a hardware support issue. But we have the Poco X3 Pro, which is running the same exact SoC and basically the same specs as the Redmi K20 Pro. And we know that Xiaomi is going to support the Poco X3 Pro for 2 years. So if you're an enthusiast, you see that this is just Xiaomi cutting costs and killing a device that's kind of a classic device. It was a device that was awesome at the time, and it was a device that fixed a lot of the gripes and all the nitpicks that people like myself had with the Poco F1. Better screen, better cameras, more cameras, touch jitter, but that didn't really matter for non-gamers, nice sized battery. And it's a device that in 2021, for $200 used, $180 used, get a new battery for 20 bucks, to be a totally fine device, minus long-term software support. Now let's talk about custom ROMs. After we thank the sponsor for today's video, TechFluent. TechFluent is actually a brand that I've started, and it's a brand that I'm working on, and I'm going to be bringing a product that, from all accounts, people are actually really excited about to market. I don't have it for sale yet internationally, but what you can do to support me, you can go ahead, like the Facebook page I have listed down below. It goes a long way supporting me, or like our Instagram page and talk to us and interact with us and tell us how you feel about stuff, about stuff that we post, because that's been taking a lot of my time, because right now I can't work. Now, custom ROMs. I did a whole video about why you shouldn't buy phones to put custom ROMs on them, because you're buying a device with the idea of having unpaid laborers make your device complete. And all you guys talked about end of life stuff, such as this, and I agree. End of life is a great time to talk about device support using custom ROMs, etc. And let's say you imported a Redmi K20 Pro. Let's say you got your K20 Pro early from China. This video does not apply to you. Congratulations, you're a tech degenerate. You're part of the tech degenerate army. You're probably on my Discord server telling me about how much you love custom ROMs and how great Pixel experiences are asking for a tutorial. This video has nothing to do with you. But if 100 Mi 9T Pros get sold internationally, out of those 100 devices, if 10% of those people, and 10% would be a high number if you consider the millions and millions and millions of devices sold, if 10% of those people have the interest, have the ability to load a custom ROM, there's still 90 people that bought a device less than 2.5 years ago that are now getting 0 updates. And now, this brings up the question of should I even be recommending Xiaomi devices to people in the first place, because my channel is not a private channel. Like, people in the public that are not tech degenerates watch my videos. And if I'm recommending phones based on the idea of a custom ROM giving the device long-term software support, and at a high percentage, okay, 15%, 20%, out of 100 people, that's still 80 people that have no device support long-term. And their $400 phone, $380 phone, $350 phone that they saved up a ton of money for is now not going to get official support. And if they want to have some type of support moving forward, then they have to rely on unpaid developers to give support to their device. Conversation I had on my Discord server with a couple of you guys a week back, and that was whether or not we are labeling devices wrong, because labeling of devices has a lot to do with people's perception and people's ideas of devices. And I should not be recommending Xiaomi devices anymore as great devices for average consumers, but for enthusiasts. That it's not a great device for the average consumer, it's a totally fine enthusiast level device. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're willing to spend hours on forums, trying different ROMs, wiping your phone, flashing your phone, wiping your phone, flashing it, then having bugs, then wiping, then their devices are totally fine. But that's not everyone. And for non-enthusiasts, long-term software support is necessary, and long-term software support is maybe the #1 way that Xiaomi cuts corners in regards to cost. In 2020, Xiaomi released 52 devices, and in 2021, Xiaomi's already up to like 38. So that's 100 something devices each year, or that's 100 something devices for 2 years that software developers have to update. Rant over. Hit me up on Discord.